Once upon a time, in a well-known university, there was a respected philosophy professor named Professor Peter. Known for his unique way of teaching, he often shared life lessons through stories and real-life demonstrations. One day, Professor Peter entered his classroom with a calm smile. On his table, he had a large empty glass jar, a few big rocks, a box of small pebbles, and a packet of fine sand. The students were curious but silent, wondering what lesson was coming their way. Without saying a single word, the professor picked up the big rocks and slowly began placing them inside the jar. One by one, the rocks went in until the jar was full to the top. Then he turned to the class and asked, "Is the jar full?" The students nodded and replied in unison, "Yes, sir, it is full." Professor Peter smiled slightly, picked up the box of pebbles, and started pouring them into the jar. The small pebbles rolled down and settled in the spaces between the big rocks. He gently shook the jar so the pebbles could slide into all the little gaps. Again, he looked at the class and asked, "Is the jar full now?" The students looked at each other and again said, "Yes, now it is really full." The professor then opened the packet of sand and slowly poured it into the jar. The fine grains of sand found their way into the tiniest gaps between the rocks and pebbles. He gave the jar one final shake. Now it looked completely full, with not even a silver of space left. Smiling again, he looked up and asked, "And now, is the jar full?" The students laughed softly and said, "Yes, sir, definitely full now." Professor Peter placed the jar on the table, folded his hands behind his back, and said, "Let me explain what this jar represents." He continued, "This jar is like your life. The big rocks are the most important things: your family, your health, your parents, your spouse, your children, and your peace of mind. Even if everything else is removed and only these things remain, your life will still be meaningful and complete." "The pebbles," he said while pointing to the jar, "are the other things that matter: your job, your home, your education, your bike or car. They are important, but not as important as the big rocks. And the sand represents all the small stuff: scrolling through social media, unnecessary arguments, worrying about others' opinions, or getting stressed or things that do not really matter." He walked around the classroom and added, "If I had filled the jar with sand first, would there have been space for the pebbles or rocks?" The class silently shook their heads. "Exactly," he said. "If you fill your life with the small, unimportant thing first, you won't have space or time for what truly matters. But if you take care of your big rock first, then there will always be space for everything else." The room was quiet. Every student sat still, deeply reflecting on their own priorities. The professor continued, "Spend time with Your parents, talk to your children, go for a walk, care for your health. The rest, your WhatsApp chats, your social media reels, those endless online arguments, that is just sand. Don't let the sand take over your life. This story teaches that we should always focus on the things that really matter in our lives. Set your priorities right. Family, health, relationships, and peace should come first. If you fill your life with small worries and distractions, there will be no room for the things that truly matter. So, always put the big rock first, and the rest will fall into place. Thanks for watching the video. If you enjoyed this video, hit like button, and for more such stories, subscribe to our channel. Thank you and stay positive.